Peugeot has given the Boxer, its biggest van, a fighting chance in the large panel van sector due to a strong, sensible design that will appeal to careful operators. On paper, this improved third-generation version certainly looks to be a van that can, for no direct rival can significantly better either its payload or its load-carrying capacity, and few can equal its low costs of operation. Equipment levels are also superior to those of many obvious rivals. In other words, it aims to score in the areas that really matter to business users.
If size matters for your business, then only the largest van will do. Something perhaps like this one, Peugeot's Boxer. This third-generation model dates back to 2006, but was substantially updated in mid-2014 to create this facelifted version that we're going to look at here. Peugeot has a long history in van production, having assembled over 1.8 million LCVs since 1950, nearly a million of which have been Boxer models produced across the three generations on sale since 1994. Throughout that time, this vehicle has had its design shared with two other rivals, Fiat's Ducato and Citroen's Relay, the LCVs that continue to provide this Boxer's toughest competition. That collaboration continues with this improved design, though only the Citroen model shares the same engines that Peugeot uses here. This vehicle will certainly need to make good on those glossy brochure promises if it's to face down the other four designs that populate the large van segment. Two of these, like this Boxer, are brand shared: the Volkswagen Crafter Mercedes Sprinter package and the Renault Master Vauxhall Movano Nissan NV400 collaboration. Plus, there are now much improved Ford Transit and tough Iveco Daily models to consider. Peugeot is boldly claiming that this vehicle can carry heavier payloads than these rivals, as well as delivering much improved standards of driver comfort, safety and convenience. All of these are useful attributes to have in the big van segment, but to become a real contender amongst the market's largest LCVs, this Boxer will need to do more. Can this improved design enhance this model's reputation for tough practicality that delivers the solid versatility and running cost efficiency that operators are looking for? Let's find out. On the move, there's the kind of high, commanding driving position that you'd expect from a large van of this class. Your lofty perch offering great panoramic views of the road ahead. As for motive power, well, Boxer buyers get the same three 2.2-litre HDI diesel engines that PSA Group partner Citroen offers in its rival Relay model, these developing either 110, 130 or 150 bhp, and all featuring a revised injection system for greater efficiency. At the top of the range, to suit those operators likely to be covering longer distances with heavier loads, Peugeot also offers a 3-litre HDI unit with 180 bhp on tap, an engine unique to this Boxer. Most, though, will want the 130 bhp variant I'm trying here. Because this mid-range model gets the option of the engine stop-start system you can't have on the lower powered version, it's potentially the most frugal choice in the lineup. Yet with a useful 320 Newton meters of pulling power, could, if you choose the right derivative, tow a trailer of around 3,000 kilos in weight. Around town, this van can make light work of tricky urban situations with a tight 14.24 metre turning circle between curbs in the case of the volume L3H2 variant, and that equates to 3.87 turns lock to lock. The reasonably slick 6-speed manual gear change helps in town too, which is just as well because there's no automatic option. If your town deliveries take you to places like muddy construction sites, then you might well be interested in the grip control option Peugeot offers, that on loose surfaces automatically transfers drive to the wheel with the most grip. The system also includes the kind of hill descent control feature that you'd normally find on an SUV for easing you down slippery slopes. All of this would be worth its weight in gold the next time you have to continue your deliveries throughout a snowy snap. What else? Well, if you were used to the pre-facelift version of this third generation Boxer model, you'll immediately notice that this van is quieter at speed. This is due to its considerable underbody and upper body strengthening, aimed at producing greater durability as well as that extra refinement. The brakes have been revised and they feel a bit more effective. Certain versions also get the option of variable assistance power steering, which becomes lighter at urban speeds and heavier to cruise. This setup is standard with the 3-litre HDI engine. Suspension is something of a Peugeot speciality, and not only on its passenger cars. There's the option of self-levelling air suspension if you want it, but even in its standard form, this van rides pretty well and handles very neatly, remaining composed in the corners and smooth on the straights. If it does get away from you, then there's ABS as standard with brake assist to make it more effective, plus ESC stability control. The days when panel vans were nondescript clones of one another are thankfully behind us, and the Boxer's stubby frontage is certainly distinctive. The headlights and the front grille have been restyled in this improved model to create what the brand hopes is a expressive, feline and technological look inspired by the current range of Peugeot cars. The stylised headlamps include daytime running lights and can be ordered with optional LED strips for extra overtaking presence. Further down sits a wide grille surrounded by a metallic grey finisher. Otherwise, things are much as before with this improved third-generation model. The prominent 3-piece bumper thoughtfully incorporates a couple of steps so that the driver can easily climb up and clean the windscreen. And those sleek headlamps are positioned high up out of harm's way, although the same can't be said for the indicators built into the large door mirrors. Moving rearwards, there's a heavy swage line that extends down both flanks above deep rubbing strips that protect the sides from minor damage. And at the back, the beefy rear bumper doubles as a step, and chunky rubber buffers on each side of the rear door protect against day-to-day bumps and scrapes. Inside the cab, the design is less dramatic than that of the exterior, but it is thoughtfully executed. Here featuring a smarter looking dash and better quality seat trims. The driver's seat can be altered for height, and the steering column is reach adjustable, so most people will be able to get comfortable with good vision ahead and to either side. There's an armrest for longer journeys, though a cup holder near to the driver's right hand would be useful. And the gear stick is mounted on the dashboard rather than on a projecting moulding, so it's easy for the driver to slide across and emerge safely on the cab side. If you're getting in and out normally, however, using the driver's door, then you could find your trousers being snagged by the location of this handbrake lever. A fresh addition for this improved Mark III model Boxer is a 5-inch dash-mounted touchscreen infotainment display, which makes the vehicle feel more modern inside as comes as standard, provided you avoid entry-level trim. As well as the usual stereo and Bluetooth elements, this handles features like audio streaming, text-to-speak messaging and satellite navigation. It's also the display via which you view the optional rear parking camera, the functionality of which includes what is possibly my favourite feature on this vehicle. Most rear parking camera displays come on only when you select reverse. This one does that, of course, but providing the keys are in the ignition, it also comes on whenever you open the rear doors. This means that without leaving the cab, you can see exactly what's being loaded or unloaded. It's a great and very unique security feature, and if I were an owner-operator, it's one of the things that would really sell me this van. Indeed, it's cleverness like this that makes you tend to overlook the fact that build quality isn't quite as solid as some pricier rivals. Still, everything feels built to last, with plenty of thought given to day-to-day usability. There are 13 different storage spaces around the cab, including a glove box, a lockable lidded bin in the middle of the fascia, spacious enough to swallow a laptop, 2 shelves on the passenger side of the dashboard, one above the other, plus further shelving both beneath and to the right of the steering wheel. You can even stash stuff on a 22-litre shelf above your head and in a tray beneath the driver's seat. Plus, of course, there are deep 2-tiered bins in both doors, big enough here to hold a flask or a bottle of water. Not everything fits nicely into shelves or trays, of course, so there's a neat dash top clipboard to hold delivery notes or maps. Just as useful is the way this middle seat folds down to reveal a little desk with a clip, a pen tray and 2 cup holders. Unfortunately, there are no cup holders anywhere else in the cab. In developing this vehicle, the engineers pursued an intensive development programme which involved nearly 2.5 million miles of road testing and over 18,500 miles of testing on poor quality and low grip surfaces. There were also 1,000 water fording tests to check out the ceiling and 500,000 door slam tests. That's equivalent to nearly 10 years of intensive use. As a result of this programme, this Boxer's body structure incorporates multi-point reinforcement to improve rigidity and durability. High-use, high-stress items such as these rear doors have been reinforced and higher-strength door hinges are now used. Similarly, the sliding side doors have benefited from reinforced rails, redesigned runners and improved door locks to raise durability and security standards. You can feel the difference in the way this door now shuts with a quality clunk. List prices for the panel van range suggest that you'll be typically paying somewhere in the £25,000 to £35,000 bracket, including VAT. That's around the same as you would have to find for obvious large LCV segment rivals like Ford's Transit or Vauxhall's Movano, but a little less than you'd be looking at for, say, a rival Volkswagen Crafter or Mercedes Sprinter. You'd expect this model's design stablemate, Citroen's Relay, to be priced very comparably, which it is. There are 2 main Boxer body styles from which to choose. If you're likely to be carrying passengers as well as packages, then you'll want to consider the window van option. Most, though, will need something from the conventional panel van range that we're concentrating on here. Panel van people get plenty of options too. 4 lengths, 3 wheelbases and 3 roof heights, if you're counting. And these allow a range of load volumes that extend from 8 cubic metres up to a truly sizable 17 cubic metres. The Boxer can manage some seriously hefty cargoes as well, with gross vehicle weights extending up to 4 tonnes. Key model derivatives include a chassis cab range, a chassis crew cab lineup and a back-to-back cab derivative. This Peugeot is also a popular base for motorhome conversions. As for standard equipment, well, all panel van models get daytime running lights, a DAB digital radio with steering wheel mounted controls and Bluetooth phone connectivity with a USB socket. You can also expect to find remote control locking with deadlocks, electric windows and power heated mirrors, plus a speed limiter to help safeguard your licence in urban areas, and more practically, a dual passenger seat, a near side sliding side loading door and a full steel bulkhead. It's also good to see that a proper full-size spare wheel is provided, with the jack and related items stowed in a plastic box beneath the passenger seat. If you can, it's worth finding the little extra for the plusher professional trim level, which is what we're trying here. This throws in air conditioning that also cools the glove box, so no more melted Mars bars, cruise control with a variable speed limiter, a parametric alarm, a 5-inch colour infotainment touchscreen on the dash, an MP3 compatible CD player, audio streaming and SMS functionality for the Bluetooth system, and the rear parking sensors that are always welcome on a van this big. As for options, well, I'd want to look at an additional sliding side door and the possibility of stretching to self-levelling air suspension that can lower the rear loading height. Maybe also the larger 125-litre fuel tank and the programmable Webasto heater if I were a long-distance user. Kindlier employers or owner-drivers may also want to consider extra cost items like the Look Pack, that will give you LED daytime running lights and front fog lamps. A Comfort Pack would give you an air-suspended driver's seat, auto air conditioning, auto lights and wipers, and a leather-stitched steering wheel. I'd also be tempted by the City Pack that throws in rear parking sensors, a rear parking camera, and power folding electric mirrors. Safety-wise, you only get a driver's airbag in the basic tally, but you can specify passenger, side and curtain bags from the options list. A TPMS tyre pressure monitoring system is standard on the window van version and optional elsewhere in the range. And of course, you also get ABS with emergency braking assist to make it more effective in panic stops. As you'd expect from a modern van, an ESC stability control system is standard, this one featuring ASR anti-slip traction control that makes it easier to move off on slippery surfaces. And talking of slippery surfaces, a neat option is the grip control setup that'll perfectly equip your Boxer to deal with the kind of loose or muddy terrain that you'll find in places like building sites. The grip control package also includes hill descent control to ease you down steep, slippery slopes. Also optional is a lane departure warning system, which uses a camera mounted above the rearview mirror to recognise whether the driver has drifted across lane markings without indicating. If this happens, the driver will get an audible warning as well as a visual one on the instrument panel. This is standard on 440 versions and can be specified on others as part of a safety pack with tyre pressure monitoring and a passenger airbag. A great deal of emphasis has been placed on rendering this Boxer as user-friendly as possible, which is why Peugeot offers a choice of 4 lengths, 3 wheelbases and 3 roof heights. That gives buyers a choice between 8 body combinations. Time then to take a look at the business end, accessible by these twin side-hinged rear doors. Here, the standard 96-degree opening can be extended to 180 degrees, and an optional modification is available to allow 270 degrees of opening, as in the model I'm trying here. Looking further down, you might note the usefully low loading sill height. It's 535 millimetres here, but if I'd specified the self-levelling rear pneumatic suspension, I'd have the option of pressing a button and lowering it further by between 60 and 70 millimetres, depending on the wheelbase of the model in question. Moving inside, let's start with the headline stat that most operators tend to look for first: load volume. Notebooks at the ready? Right, here we go. At the bottom of the range, the smallest short wheelbase standard roof L1H1 model will get you 8 cubic metres. That'll increase to 10 cubic metres if you up the wheelbase to medium level and get an L2H1 derivative, or 11.5 cubic metres if you also up the roof height to high spec with an L2H2 derivative. Here I've gone a bit further still and chosen a long wheelbase Boxer with that same roof height, the L3H2 variant, that delivers a useful 13 cubic metres of volume. From here, if that's still not big enough, you can get either an extra high roof in the L3H3 model or an extra long wheelbase in the L4H2 variant. Either way, you'll have 15 cubic metres of cargo space to play with inside. At the top of the range, the L4H3 variant that has both the extra high roof and the extra long wheelbase would get you a massive 17 cubic metres. Perhaps, though, you're more interested in the length of loads that you'll be able to carry. Well, pretty much everything you can think of will probably fit. Load lengths vary from 2,670 millimetres in the smallest L1H1 variant I mentioned to a huge 4,070 millimetres in that L4H3 range topper. This L3H2 mid-range variant will probably be enough for most operators, offering, as it does, 3,705 millimetres. Loading height will of course be important too. As I mentioned, there are 3 roof sizes. The standard roof gives you 1,662 millimetres of internal roof height, the high roof upping that figure to 1,932 millimetres, and the extra high roof increasing the figure still further to 2,172 millimetres. The interior loading width, of course, is the one thing that doesn't change. Across the range, it's 1,870 millimetres from sidewall to sidewall, or 1,422 millimetres between the wheel arches. That's one of the widest load bays in this class of van, and it means that there'll be enough space for an 8x4 sheet to be loaded flat on the floor. On to vehicle weight. Something is important to get right, as it'll determine how bulky the stuff that you'll be able to carry can be. There are 5 GVW gross vehicle weights you can choose, designated by the first and the last of the 3 figures in the full model name. So this 335 L3H2 variant has a gross vehicle weight of 3,500 kilos. If you don't need that much, there's a lesser 330 derivative with a 3,000 kilo GVW, or a 333 version with a 3,300 kilo GVW. These 3 options together make up the light range in the Boxer lineup. If though you need a heftier carriage capacity, then you can opt for the heavy range 435 and 440 derivatives, weighing up to 4 tonnes. Bear in mind here that if you need a Boxer with a gross vehicle weight of more than 3.4 tonnes and therefore opt for the top 440 derivative, you'll need to be able to drive with a tachograph. With all of that sorted, we can talk payload, an area where Peugeot reckons this model has a key advantage. Even the least capable Boxer model, the smallest 330 L1H1 derivative, can manage 1,155 kilos of weight, whilst the most capable, the 440 L4H2 variant, can deal with an impressive 1,885 kilos. This 335 L3H2 model has a gross payload of 1,525 kilos, nearly 400 kilos more than some directly comparable competitors. What else? Well, if you want to get your loads in from the side, you'll be pleased to find that the sliding side door aperture is decently wide, or at least it is from the L2 body length upwards. You're talking 1,255 millimetres. So yes, a Euro pallet will easily go in. Modifications to this door include redesigned runners to make it easier to use. The height of the aperture will of course depend on the roof height you select. With this high roof derivative, the figure is a very reasonable 1,755 millimetres. 8 floor-mounted load tie-down points are fitted to this vehicle's load bay, plus 2 at the base of the standard full-height steel bulkhead that you'd be glad of if you forget to use them and everything slides forward. You can also add 5 more tie-down points positioned at waist height, 3 on the offside and 2 on the near side. A shelf above the cab, accessible from the cargo area, looks like a good place to store load restraint straps. And to look after the load bay, there are protective panels up to half height to guard against interior scrapes and dents. But these still leave the wheel boxes exposed, so there's no real substitute for proper ply lining treatment. On to running costs. These will naturally be determined by your choice of HDI diesel engine and whether or not the variant you have in mind can be specified with a stop and start system that'll cut the engine when you don't need it, stuck in traffic or waiting at the lights. If it can't, then your combined cycle return in this vehicle will vary between 30.4 and 41.5 miles per gallon, depending on derivative, and if you keep a close eye on the dashboard gear shift indicator as you drive. And your CO2 reading will vary between 180 and 199 grams per kilometre, again, depending on the derivative. If you're looking at the 2.2 litre HDI L3 130 bhp variant I'm trying here, you'll be able to pay your dealer another couple of £100 to get your Boxer with that stop-start system and improve your fuel economy and CO2 figures by about 5%. This particular vehicle manages 39.2 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 189 grams per kilometre of CO2, which is a pretty impressive showing for a large van with a gross vehicle weight of 3,300 kilos. Keeping maintenance costs down will be a major priority for potential owners, so they'll approve of 3-piece bumpers that mean you only have to repair the part that's actually damaged. Similarly, the 15-inch tyres that are fitted were chosen specifically because they're a common and cost-effective size, so that if your Boxer gets a puncture, it won't be off the road for ages waiting for the right tyres to be sourced. Plus, the larger brakes reduce wear. The longer service intervals that this improved model gets are set quite generously at up to 2 years or 30,000 miles, depending on operation. And you get a flexible warranty that's either 2 years with unlimited mileage or 3 years with up to 100,000 miles. A useful fact to know is that the engine's timing chain won't ever need to be replaced. Breakdown assistance is provided for the first year of ownership, and there's a 2-year paint warranty and 5 years of anti-perforation warranty. Insurance groupings are class-leadingly affordable. The most affordable grouping is 7E, and the 335 L2H3 HDI 130 variant I have here is rated at Group 9E. What else? Well, the environmentally aware will also want to note that all of the available engines will run on fuel containing up to 30% biodiesel without needing modification. Finally, there's the peace of mind of knowing that your Boxer will be looked after by Peugeot's expert network of specialist LCV dealers. Here you get within-the-hour diagnostics, a maximum 48-hour lead time for service and repair, plus a van-for-van courtesy vehicle should you want it while yours is off the road. In the increasingly closely fought large panel van sector, this Boxer looks to have the full package required to make a name for itself. At launch, its all-round versatility was enough to deliver a knockout blow to many rivals, but they've improved greatly since then, though not enough to outclass this prize fighter, especially in this improved guise. The French brand has clearly thought long and hard about what operators actually want. The longer service intervals are welcome, as are the more efficient running cost returns and the greater cab refinement. Plus, this Boxer's smart infotainment screen and its optional grip control system are genuine points of differentiation in this segment. It's the addition of extra equipment features like these that give this Peugeot an important advantage over key rivals from Ford, Vauxhall, Renault, Mercedes and Volkswagen in this segment. Of course, there are also this model's Citroën and Fiat design stablemates to consider. And your choice between these three will probably come down to a close points decision, aided in this van's case by Peugeot's vast dealer network and by its wider selection of model options. It'll probably come down to trying one, sticking this Boxer in the ring and working it hard. Once you've done so, you may well agree that it offers championship material.